Evening. Good evening to you all.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Today, I warmly welcome you after 1 month back. Last time, we studied Education Reforms 1972. We stopped here. Today, we are going to study Educational Reform 1997. And after this, we can learn the 21st century curriculum. And if time permits, we can touch 21st century classroom, 21st century teacher as instructional leader, a responsible person to implement curriculum, the principal role. Otherwise, we can continue in our next class. And finally, we have to do new reforms in Sri Lanka. They are going to implement from 2026 January. Nowadays, the Ministry of Education and the officers of National Institute of Education very busy. Further, zonal education directors, deputy directors, in-service advisors also very busy with empowering teachers on new reforms. I can remember already I have sent you that slide, but not to I shared to personal to you. One or two students made request. Then I sent it because I was not sure about the time allocation. Already they said only 10 lecture. Already we have finished 8. Then anyhow I said 10 lecture not sufficient to complete the syllabus, and they agreed to give one more. This we call this month also we have 3 lectures. Then we can finish Educational Reform 1997, 21st century curriculum, very important, and 21st century classroom, 21st century teachers, 21st century principal, and Sri Lanka Education Reform. Okay, these are the area we have to cover further. Government here in 1997, there is a background I have not included in the slide, but slightly we can say, you will aware of that we had in 1971 also we had a riot. youth unrest, even 1988-89, soon after the president Premadasa came to power, he appointed to study the youth in Sri Lanka they faced. Then they recommended the education reforms needed to this country. Then National Education Commission appointed in 1991, Act number 19, Parliament Act, established National Education Commission. Here we have mentioned NEC. Then they thoroughly studied Sri Lankan education system. They identified the weakness or the areas to be improved. Then they gave suggestions. In 1994, after 17 years rule, from 1977 to 1994, United National Party ruled this country. In 1994, Chandrika Kumaratunga Bandaranaike first, she was appointed as the Prime Minister of this country. End of 1994, by December, I can remember, we had presidential election. In the election, she was elected as the president of this country. Anyhow, the UNP, United National Party, they initiated initial action steps taken by UNB. Then, luckily, there was an agreement between Ranil Wickremesinghe. At that time, he was the president of United National Party. Ranil Wickremesinghe and Chandrika Kumaratunga, they agreed to implement the new reform. New president, she appointed a presidential task force on general education in 1996. With the 12, there is one spelling maybe, with the 12 technical committees to implement the proposed policy. Not only that, the president declared the year 1997 as the year of education reform. Because the government, new government elected in 1994, they accepted in the history of Sri Lanka politics, both two major political parties, UNP and the opposition, Srima Bandaranaike at that time was appointed the Prime Minister. Therefore, I can say SLP. The reforms were firstly implemented in Gambaha district at primary level. That is Chandrika Kumaratunga district. First they implemented as a pilot project. In 1998, later were implemented throughout the island. At that time, the National Education Commission too, very busy at that time. So they published so many reports related to the educational reform 1997. Okay, that is the history, background of the history. Opposition party also supported in the parliament. Therefore, the government spent lot of time and energy to implement this reform with lot of expectation. The reforms were introduced with two main objectives: promoting access and equity in education. That is one part. Education for all. They accepted education as a fundamental human rights. Compulsory education regulations implemented by the government. The second objective or the second main key objective was improving the quality of education. The quantity development actually appreciated in Sri Lanka. Our literacy rate, educated people rate only second to Japan in South Asia. But the problem we had, still we have that problem, quality of education. With the Sri Lanka schools in Sri Lanka provide quality education to the students. The National Education Commission identified 9 national goals for educational policy and set out basic. Later they reduced to 8. By 2007, I can remember they reduced to, they amalgamated 2 national goals to 1. Therefore, now we have 8. The new reforms, they may change. Later we can study in our last lecture, we can study the new reforms. What are the national goals for education policy and set out basic competencies. That is one special change introduced. First time in the history of Sri Lanka education reforms, they used competencies. Competency, this it was, a model was created. KASP. Knowledge, attitude, skills, practice. Combination of these 4 factors, competencies. Inside the competency, 4 components: knowledge component, attitude component, skills component, and practical component included. But earlier, we did not see as combined theme. We try to give knowledge through education, attitude, value, that is different. Through different activities, we try to give attitude, skills. We did not give much importance to the skills development practical work, not well organized. The competencies that should be achieved by each student through the general education. Normally the competency, ability to the ability of a person to do a given work effectively and efficiently. To successfully complete a work, the person, individual, needs knowledge, skills, attitude, and practical abilities. The previous reforms, but the 1972 occasional curriculum, more space had been given to develop working skills of the students. But they did not use the term competency first time in the education reforms. They started to use the term competencies. Therefore, competency-based curriculum, it was 1997 curriculum was identified, competencies-based curriculum. Right. That is the introduction history I mentioned about, and the history or background of that reform. Then the term, key term, competencies, the meaning of competencies I explained. Right. Now we'll see the primary curriculum of primary education. Some important changes they introduced. First, they said child-centered approach. The approach they recommended for primary children, child-centered approach. That is number one. Then integrated curriculum number two. Across 4 subject areas: language, maths, religion, and environment related activities. Actually, the environment related activities, many subject integration. We studied when the curriculum, integrated curriculum theories part last month. Here, the primary integrated curriculum introduced, especially the environment related activities, science, geography, civics, social science area, combination of lot of subject, environment related activities. Then oral English introduced, grade 1 and 2 for communication, and formal English from grade 3. No English teacher used for oral English. The class teacher, grade 1, grade 2 teacher, without any using any textbooks, no writing, no reading, only communication. Oral English introduced in grade 1 and grade 2. That is another change introduced in 1997. Yeah. That is curriculum side. 5 classes, grade 1 to 5, the key stages system. The key stages system we can see in England. In England, it goes up to grade 11, but 10 or 11. But here, they have limited only for the primary. Key stages. The 5 classes brought into 3 key stages. Key stage 1, grade 1 and 2. The grade 1 teacher should take the student studied in grade 1 to the next year. But in in Finland, 5 years, the primary from 1 to 5, same teacher continually in charge for a particular group. But here, only for 2 years. Key stage 1, for an example, in 2025, students are admitted in grade 1. Teachers to those students. The same teacher goes to grade 2. Two years continually, the particular teacher will be with the student, a particular group of a student. K stage 2, grade 3 and 4, same system. Grade 3 teacher, 2025, grade 3 teacher, the same teacher, 2026, grade 4 teacher, to the same group. Key stage 3, grade 5, single teacher. This new system introduced in 1997, still we can see in the primary schools. The same time, 3 teaching and learning process they introduced. Key stage 1, more play, organized games. Using organized games, fun, more play in the key stage 1. Desk work, activity list, more play in key stage 1. More activity in key stage 2. Less play, less desk work, but more activity in key stage 2. Key stage 3, grade 5, they have to, according to our system, grade 5 scholarship is a serious and important exam. The students, they need more writing, reading, and lot of activity. Therefore, more desk work in key stage 3. But it was the plan. It was the recommendations. But unfortunately, even now so many times, National Education Commission, they suggested to the Ministry of Education as well as to the National Institute of education find alternative assessment for primary children rather than having a written paper pencil exam. But our parents and schools, even education officers, they took this grade 5 scholarship examination as a serious exam. Some schools, some teachers from grade 1 to they start training the children to grade 5 scholarship examination. No play, no activities, paperwork, desk work. That is the practical situation. I can remember one senior educationist in Sri Lanka. There was a conference with Finland professors, senior academic. In that conference, he mentioned of this primary curriculum, everything spoiled by this grade 5 scholarship competition. Schools forget to use the recommended approaches, method, play, activity based. They gave up that and implemented more desk work. Right. Identifying entry competencies. That is another reforms. As soon as grade 1 students are admitted, Sellam Midula. They established. Even parents, they helped the school administration to create an environment where the children can play and learn. But that was only for 2 weeks. During that time, the class teacher should observe and interview, communicate, interact with the children, and find their strength and weakness, entry competencies. That program, if 35 students are admitted to grade 1, first day, one day, Monday, they take only 5 or 6 students. The next 5 day, next day, another 5 or 6 students are asked to come to the class, because all 35 students, they can't, the teachers, they can't observe clearly and identify their strength and weakness. Therefore, the number was reduced to 5 to 6, 5, 6, 7, like that. That first, the teachers, they have to identify, study the students admitted to grade 1. That activity is one important activities, very important reform introduced in 1997. Identifying essential learning competency for each key stages to be assessed at the end of each key stage. essential learning competency. Time to time they changed. First, for the key stage, I can remember, I may be wrong, I can't, but because they time to time they changed. 48 competency for key stage 1, 52 competency for key stage 2, 55 maybe at the beginning. I can remember that is the number of essential learning competencies. Education is given to impart essential learning competency in the primary. Teacher's guidebook clearly instructed the teacher what they do, what they how to assess the children. Actually, the curriculum developer did not recommend the term test. But parents and teachers, they wanted to have, even the principals, they wanted to have written exam, term test. Parents expect their children's marks in number. In order to fulfill the parents' request, parents' demand, schools, they printed, we have some institution in Sri Lanka, they print question paper and sell to the schools. 10% discount is given to the principal. Therefore, the principals, I don't know what's happening now. Those days, they were very interested to get the paper. Okay, the class-based assessment, school-based management, and continuous monitoring and supervision, they recommended. But this is school-based assessment, class-based assessment, school-based management, and continuous monitoring and supervision. Earlier, when the education reform implemented, new reforms introduced, only the teachers were trained. But in the 1997, specifically they had mentioned all the principals, school principal with primary section should be trained because they are the head of the school responsible to in the process of curriculum implementation. Identifying entry competencies to help the teacher plan according to individual needs. Individual differences we can see in any class. Slow learner, average learner, fast learner. Already they have identified there will be 3 types of student in any class. Slow learner, average learner, fast learner. Based on the individual differences, individual needs, the teachers can plan their activities. They have to prepare activities, student to learn. Identifying essential learning competency for each key stage, clearly given in the teacher's guide. What are the activities they should implement in the class to impart essential learning competencies? Some students naturally or otherwise, due to their home environment, they are coming to the school with lot of competencies, but not all the students. The teachers should identify, teachers were expected that they should identify through the entry competencies activities they can plan for each key stage to be assessed at the end of each key stage. Class-based assessment, school-based management, and continuous monitoring and supervision. Right. Those are the key changes introduced the primary cycle of the curriculum, primary stage of the curriculum. Now we are going to move the junior secondary education, grade 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 year. Curriculum changes in science and social studies. Life competencies to replace life skills. Already we had a subject, it was identified as life skills. Instead of skills, the new reform, they named life competencies. Activity rooms, actually they recommended even foreign country, they funded, but because of the mismanagement of finance by the Sri Lanka government, they stopped giving their fund to establish activity rooms. Luckily, at the beginning, only few schools, very fortunate, they are very fortunate, they got activity rooms. But as the government planned to give activity rooms, all the schools, those who are having junior secondary, fail. Only selected at the beginning stage, some school got activity room, but they could not successfully continue with that program. Activity rooms to be introduced and practical and technical skills to be emphasized. It was planned to give lot of activities repairing modern technology, modern equipments, digital devices. But unfortunately, it was not a successful recommendation. Introduction of the national language. Tamil and Sinhala, they identified as national language. In 1977, the Constitution says language chapter, Sinhala and Tamil, national language of this country. Any student can start in the government schools, semi-government and approved by the private, except the international schools. Government policy says primary education should be given in one of the national languages. Strengthening of the English program, later they reduced bilingual from grade 6 onward. To strengthening the English language. Secondary education, the junior secondary, they introduced time to time lot of changes. At the beginning, aesthetic studies integrated and science and technology, but time to time, lot of changes took place in junior secondary education. Grade 10 and 11 senior secondary education identified as GC O-level grades instead of grade 9 to 11. Before 1997, senior secondary 3 years program, junior secondary 3 years 6, 7, 8, senior secondary 3 years program. But in the new reform, 1997 reform, junior secondary 4 years, senior secondary 2 years, grade 10 and 11, identified as GC O-level grades instead of grade 9, 11. Retention of 8 compulsory subject with they did not do any changes. 8 subject they made compulsory with addition of technology to science and inclusion of literature as an option under aesthetic studies. Addition of 7 optional subjects from which 2 are to be selected. At the beginning, now later they reduced to 9. Earlier, at the beginning of beginning stage, as soon as the beginning stage of the introduction of 1997 education reform, students studied 10 subjects. Senior secondary O-level, they set for 10 subjects. 8 compulsory subject, 2 optional subject, from which 7 out of 7 optional subject, the students were asked to select 2. The 8 plus 2, 10. Later, they reduced to 6 core subject and 3 group subject. Once they named basket subject, but later that name also they stopped to use basket subject. Instead of baskets, they said group subject. Even now, it is there 6 core subject, 3 group subject. They have the students should take 1 from each group. But new reforms has reduced. Later we can see the number of the subject for GCO level. How subject can be selected by the students. Right. Briefly, I explain the senior secondary education, the 1997 reform. Grade 13 and 12 and 13, advanced level. Reduction from 4 to 3 subject. Before 1997, for the GCO level, the students, they had to sit for 4 subject, but no general English, no common general test. They made 3 subject, 3 main subject. Before 1997, the students should sit for 4 subject. If they pass in 3 subject, they qualify to apply for the university. 3 passes out of 4. In 1997, they reduced to 3 subject, 3 key subject. Addition to that, a pass in common general paper for admission to university. Minimum 30 marks. 30 marks. Common general test paper, the students should get. General knowledge, they call. That is the popular name they use. General knowledge paper. This now the government has been implementing industry loan scheme. Sometimes the students talk to me, sir, I have to be 1A, but I am not selected to the university even under the industry loan scheme. Yes. The reason, even this time a student, yes, A, 1A, 1B, 1C. Only 22 marks in general, common general test. I got another student from Kurnagal, 2A, 1B. Common general paper, 28 marks. Not qualified to enter the university. Applied to the government university. Even the private university, the students are admitted without 30, but under the industry student loan scheme, no, not admitted. Another change in A-level syllabus, some subject combine new subject introduced, biology. That is combination of botany and zoology. Now we do not have botany and zoology as separate subject. Combination of botany and zoology we call biology. A combination of mathematics and higher mathematics to be replaced by pure and applied mathematics. Those days we had pure maths, applied maths. Now, combination of mathematics and higher mathematics, combined maths, higher mathematics, practical components introduced to agriculture and science, and project assignment, group project and individual project introduced, but in practically even the school administration are not interested in that area because they wanted to train the students to get 3A in A level. General English, another important change to be made a compulsory subject in both grade 12 and 13. But the problem many rural and plantation school faced was shortage of English teacher. The available English teachers used to teach from 6 to 11 because the students from 6 to 11, the 11 GCO level, English, one of the core subject. Therefore, more importance given to that is students. A level general English, not teacher. In 2000, technology stream to be introduced yet in 2013. Technology stream introduced, but at the beginning they said technology stream to be introduced. And now, after 16 years, in 2013, biotech engineering technology streams is introduced geared to agriculture, industry, and information science. 3 subject A level, general common test paper, 30 marks minimum, 30 marks needed to qualify to get university entrance in the government university and private university to get entrance to the private university under the interest-free student loan scheme. General English, 80% compulsory attendance for the JIT, General Information Technology, also introduced. Right. After 10 years, some modernization. Modernized competency-based curricular reforms. Here, core competencies and subject competencies. They added new subject competencies. For each and every subject, different competencies they developed. Right. Here the major point, encouraging activities-based learning. If we compare primary and secondary, to somehow primary section, primary education, they used activity-based learning to a certain extent, but in the secondary, not much interest taken by the teachers and the school management to introduce activity-based learning. But in 2007, after observing for 10 years, they emphasized the importance of activity-based learning in secondary. Number two, facilitating student in constructive knowledge. They said classroom should be a place where knowledge is produced. 5E teaching model. Highly emphasized to use 5E method. Constructivism. The theory of constructivism highly emphasized. Exploration, experiment, lot of new teaching method recommended, boosted, fostering the development of higher order academic abilities and skills. They mentioned two things: higher order thinking, lower order thinking. Higher order process, lower order process in the curriculum implementation. What is this lower order? If we limit our curriculum implementation process to provide only knowledge, only we teach only student understanding to promote student understanding, that is lower order process. If we prepare the children to answer to the model question, past paper, if we prepare the children only for the written exam, that level, that implementation, curriculum implementation process level is identified as lower order process. What is higher order process? Improving student creativeness, productivity, innovation, critical thinking power, problem solving ability. Those are higher order process. This after 2007 in Sri Lanka, they suggested to engage the students in higher order process. The tutorist The tuition classes, they focus on lower order process. But the school should not do the same according to the 2007 reform. This lower order process give more attention on the cognitive development of the children. But here, 2007 reform, they emphasized for non-cognitive aspect of student development. Critical thinking, communication skills, problem solving skills, critical thinking, students' personality development, leadership development, teamwork, higher order process. They recommended for higher order process. The educational structure is retained as was proposed. We saw primary 5 years, junior secondary 4, senior secondary 2, collegiate or advanced level 2. No change in that structure in 2007. Further, a number of new subjects is introduced in the curricular reforms. What are the subjects? The subject first language, Sinhala Tamil, second language, Sinhala Tamil, religion, English, mathematics, science, history, geography, life competencies, new subject, civic education, new subject, health and physical education. Earlier they said in science. Now, health and physical education as compulsory are taught to be junior secondary grades. 6 to 9 students at this level can choose two additional subjects from the subject such as art, dancing, drama, theatre arts, oriental music and practical technical skills are optional subject for grade 6 to 9. In addition, the new way for subject order basket system. I mentioned that at the beginning they used the term basket, but later the term instead of basket they used group subject. Basket system has been introduced at the senior secondary level. 10 to 11 students are taught with 10 subjects at this level. I already mentioned 6 compulsory, 8 compulsory subject, 2 optional subject. But here, changes introduced. 2007, they made 6 subject as compulsory subject. Earlier we had 8 subject. Now, only 6 subject they recommended as co-subject or compulsory subject. First language, religion, English, maths, science and history are co-subject. Now this time 2026, they have removed history from that list, co-subject list. Some opposition we had, now they are silent. Students are required to choose another 4 subject based on their interest from the 3 subject basket. But later they said only three. Uh, three sub three subject basket which are included with various subjects of art and commerce, aesthetic and technical field. In 2026, there is no group subject or basket subject, only optional subject list, elective subject. No basket, no group. 3 subject basket which are included with various subject of art and commerce. From 3 subject earlier they said students should select 4 subject, 6 to 6 plus 4, 10, but later that decision was changed. Only 3 subject, 1 subject from each and every group. Nevertheless, the new subject selection at grade 10 and 11 was questioned by many and criticized. Lot of criticism. New subject organization is rational and that it does not help to develop the balanced personality of students. National Education Commission also criticized independent. National Education Commission uh, not working under the Ministry of Education or National Institute of Education. They are independent body. National Education Commission, they are responsible. That commission is responsible only to the president. The Ministry of Education or Minister of Education can't control them. Therefore, time to time, uh, in their report, they have highlighted the weakness of the current curriculum. Yeah, that's all for the new reforms. Now we can move. We have another 45 minutes. We can start with this 21st century curriculum or 21st century and beyond, because already uh, 25 years passed. Many countries, they reformed, they introduced their reform for 21st century, but unfortunately Sri Lanka is too late. Let me give couple of minutes to change the slide. is near the new topic. Can you see visible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. Universal curriculum designed for learning for 21st century. That is the topic. We can say curriculum of 21st century. Now new term added, 21st century and beyond. At the beginning of 21st century, many international organization, they gave a lot of suggestions. First one, very important. Even now, this new reform, new guidebook in Sri Lanka for new 21st 2026, they are going to introduce. I went through some of the teachers' guide. They have given more important to these four C's: thinking, critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration. uh, 21st century curriculum shifts focus from rote memorization to essential skills for modern life. Even now, there are some schools, they have this dictation in their timetable. But it is highly criticized giving dictation to the students, ask the children to memorize fact. One academic says the worst learning method is memorizing the fact, rote learning. Here, the 21st century curriculum seriously condemn memorizing facts as a part of education process. Instead of that, the foundation for the 4C, according to this group, 4C should be the foundation for 21st century curriculum. Critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration. 4Cs. Digital literacy and real world application. Yeah. Now you can see the new trend. Digital literacy, one of the area. And real world application. The Malaysian education reforms, in the introduction they say the present world is not theoretical world but practical world. What was the weakness, major weakness of our education system in the past? Teaching more and more theory. Even in our education system, B.Ed or PGDO, we can see education psychology, education philosophy, sociology, more attention given to learn theory. We need theory, we can't neglect the theories, but the application, real world application, very important to get a good outcome from the education. Next, preparing student for dynamic careers through personalized. Here now it is divided into the benefit of education divided into two major components: economic related benefits, non-economic related benefits. This characteristic development value, teaching religion, personality development, leadership development, good citizen, those are non-economic related benefits that we get from education. But very important, we should not forget economic related benefit. Education is an investment. Education should help for the development of human resource, human capital, manpower approach. Manpower development approach is highly emphasized. Cost benefit approach is highly emphasized. Therefore, we have to prepare the children to fulfill the demand of labor market. Otherwise, the country will face different problem: unemployment problem, economic development problem. The education should support the national economic development of the country, of a country. Therefore, dynamic careers through personalized project-based learning, through teaching learning activities, lot of skills imparted that integrates technology global. Now, the education, 21st century education says to produce global citizen. Education is internationalized and adaptability for lifelong success. In order to successfully face new challenges, the education should prepare the student to face new challenges, 21st century challenges. Now we can see the shift, how we are moving from knowledge-based curriculum to skills-based curriculum, critical thinking skills, creativity skills, communication skills, collaboration skills. That is the introduction for 21st century curriculum. Some more, 21st century curriculum emphasize team-based project in which groups, not for individual personal development, individual development, draw on each individual strength to solve problem. Teamwork. The education 20th century or before, we identified talented student, and we forced to empower only few students who are capable. In other words, our education system produced shellfish, unhealthy competitions in the school system. But now, America 2021, no child left behind, a law passed. In 2015, every student succeed in education. New thinking. The model exposes students to new ideas and opposing viewpoints while demonstrating the power of the collective mind. New way of thinking. According to Page in 2009, adapting a 21st century curriculum should blend knowledge, thinking, innovation skills, media, information and communication technology, literacy, and a real life experience in the context of co-academic subject. Now you can see here we do not see the subject history, literacy, geography, lot of new area. Creativity, innovation, information and communication technology, ICT, the real world experience, real life experience, practical work, are the core academic subject in a curriculum. Therefore, the new curriculum designers for 21st century, the 21st century curriculum designer should think about the new trend in curriculum. Here you can see here life and career skills, learning innovation skills, 4C, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, information, media and technology skills. Separately, we can time permits, we can study 21st century skills, standards assessment, curriculum and instruction, professional development, learning environment. Those are the new ideas in 21st century skills. Sorry, 21st century curriculum. The 21st century standard, 21st century standard, the assessment, also the alternative assessment. Instead of this traditional paper pencil exam, standardized exam. They recommend not only the curriculum and instruction, teaching, learning, lot of changes. The 21st century curriculum designer should think about the classroom, 21st century teacher's role, teaching method, and professional development. There are some characteristics of professional ethics, updating knowledge, applying the knowledge in the field, professional characteristic of professionalism, learning environment. The key role of a teacher is to create a conducive learning environment, children to learn independently. Right. 21st century, lot of new teaching learning method they recommend. In order to achieve authentic learning that is demanded in 21st century. Subject introduction I gave you, skills based curriculum, 21st century skills, then new subject lot of, third teaching method, learning styles. In order to achieve authentic learning that is demanded in 21st century, students engage in the learning environment effectively and develop 21st century skills. Anytime, from anywhere, children can learn. That environment can be created by the teacher as well as the schools. Authentic, direct experience, hands-on learning. The children, they do not depend only in the textbook to gain knowledge. They need space to engage in lot of activities, learning activities. Student engagement is very important in the learning process. As I said, critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, teamwork. That environment, group work, teamwork, collaboration, cooperation, the classroom environment, school environment should foster these skills, collaboration skills, problem solving skills, critical thinking skills. In this way, a student will be prepared with the necessary knowledge and life skills that will help them to be successful in their future careers. Here, the children, what you are learning is not important. For what? At the secondary level, the student, the teachers should guide the student to select their field for their future success. What is the attitude of Sri Lankan parents? They wanted to teach their children to become doctors, engineers. But this 21st century education expects to provide opportunity for different career. Therefore, curriculum in the 21st century should focus on the construction of knowledge. Even in 2007 Sri Lanka education reforms, they had mentioned about the construction of knowledge. Students should not be passive listeners. Students should be active participants. New knowledge. What's happening in the present, the current education system? We search for lot of books. That is also we need. We memorize, we try to understand and sit for the exam. But what's happening? We are preparing the children for the exam, not for the real world. That gap we have in our education system. Teachers, parents, everyone in this country feels students are prepared for the exam. But 21st century education focuses on success in their life. Preparing, lot of people, Lombardi is preparing curriculum to be connected with real world. That is very important message. We can't neglect the real world when we prepare a curriculum. Neglecting real situation, real world, we should not go for curricular reforms. We can't get only theoretical ideas. Psychology, at the beginning, what they did, psychology theory, education philosophy, sociology theories. Based on theories, we develop curriculum. But the 21st century curriculum design, the experts, they say more importance should be given to the real world problem. The real world, if the curriculum, 21st century curriculum is connected with real world situation, practical situation, the student participation, their motivation and understanding for the academic subject will be high. Therefore, the academic subject, the content of academic subject should focus on the real world. I can remember one incident I can say. Once couple of years back, I was observing one of my students teaching practice. I can remember grade 8 students. The teacher taught geography and waterfall and the plantation, Nuerelia, that hill country, mountains, and lot of sea had connected. How we can the useful of waterfall? We can produce electricity. Waterfall attract the tourism. Then we can earn dollars, foreign exchange, lot of thing. Therefore, we should protect the environment and all. After the next lesson, after geography, same class, history as a subject. A boy asked a question to the teacher, why we should learn history as a subject? What are the benefits that we can get, especially economic benefit? The teacher could, what this country is going to get by learning this old history? The teacher could not give correct answer to that student. Now, the recently one popular school incident also. The student, the new generation, they may challenge the school administration. They may challenge the teacher about our curriculum, the usefulness of our curriculum. They can raise question. Therefore, now we have to find a new path. We have to replace quickly the outdated curriculum. I think the new curriculum I went through, why we need a reform, Sri Lanka. First, to develop this country economically. It should be the first objective. There are a number of countries in Asia. They develop their country through their education system, their curriculum. Their curriculum has helped to develop the country economically. Now they are rich country. Good example, Singapore, South Korea. If you go through the literature, they prove because of their progressive curriculum, innovative curriculum, they produce innovative citizen, creative citizen, productive citizen, manpower who can contribute for the economic development of the country. Manpower approach, human capital approach. They introduced in their curriculum. In Sri Lanka, we have social demand approach. That means the society leads the education, but other countries, education led the society, they are developed. Yes. Now, the standard, we have to talk about the standards for 21st century curriculum. Researchers, now I gave some foundation ideas on 21st century curriculum, how the international organization, they have helped to develop curriculum in countries, then importance of the skills and different subject we have to change the subject. We should not defend some of we have to rethink about the relevancy of subject that we teach in our schools. There are some subject outdated. I gave that example. That's why this government also, they have removed the history from that compulsory subject list, co-subject list. I think there is a connection between the student question and the government decision. The new trend is some of the subject that we have been teaching in our schools should be removed and introduced. Luckily, in 2013, 2 new streams in Sri Lanka. Otherwise, we have for a long time arts stream, commerce, science stream. Only 3. But luckily, new subject, information technology, new subject for A level, modern languages. We had been teaching classical language. Pali, Sanskrit, some subject we had in our curriculum. But now, in order to produce global citizen, we have to introduce new language, international languages. Early in the international language list, only one subject we had, English. Now, French, Chinese, South Korean, lot of new subject, international language subject. Okay, and skills and teaching learning method, chalk and talk method, outdated, lecture method outdated, construction, knowledge construction, authentic learning, integration of IT into teaching learning process, assessment changes in testing method. Yes. Right. Now, so far we studied those things. Now we'll try, we have another 12 minutes. Researchers stated the standards are designed to be robust and relevant to the real world. standard for 21st century curriculum. It should reflect the knowledge and the skills that our young people will need for success in college and careers and be positioned to compete successfully in the global economy. Common Core State Standards Initiatives 2010. Yeah. See this standard. This is one of the standard. Curriculum should reflect the knowledge and the skill that our young people will need for success in college. Yeah. We organize prize giving. That prize giving is based on, this prize giving is based on school level, college level achievement. But we need careers to be positioned. What is our attitude? We tell the students, learn, sit for the exam, get the results, then you can find a job. We give education to get a job, but we never give education except few institution. Most probably our general education, we do not give education to do a job. We give education to get a job, not to do a job. But this new curriculum should focus to give or impart skills to be success in their career. Additionally, curriculum developers of P21 21st century has stated curriculum should be designed in a way that students allow students to master knowledge and understand co-academic disciplinary knowledge. Deep learning we can use in one field, at least in one field, deep learning, master knowledge and understand co-academic disciplinary knowledge. 21st century curriculum should give students the opportunity to learn and develop various literacy such as civic, financial, environmental, health and global awareness. They should not limit only their education to their country boundary. It should go beyond that. Research pointed out that multiliteracy can enable students to make informed decisions that prepare them to face challenges in the global community and give them to opportunity to be successful in the workplace. Again, we can see the success in life, success in workplace. Now we have to prepare the children to be success in their life, to success in their workplace. Not what is the different gap that we find in Sri Lanka? We prepare the children to be success in the exam, written exam. We focus on that, whether you agree or not. We focus on the children, those who study in our school should be success in the exam. But 21st century education emphasize the students should be success in their life, success in their job. Best to my knowledge, I do not see our teachers, our schools train the children. Yeah. Unfortunately, many countries they use the term not only learning, not only teaching, training the students. But in Sri Lanka, we do not use that word, teaching the children. Preparing the student for the exam. Past paper, model paper, Anumana Prasna Pattara, guessing. We limit our student knowledge only to be success in the exam. But in the 21st century, we should follow the international standard, international guidance. Luckily, grade 6, now new subject, to be success in the 21st century globalized world. Attempts are made to achieve that level. We'll see. Providing a student with different skills sets is essential in order to prepare a generation capable of facing the real world successfully. I clearly explained that Ellis stated the knowledge-centered curriculum is an academic curriculum where students are expected to acquire knowledge of their world as a foundation for adult life. Knowledge also important, but the selection, the relevancy, the new curriculum, 21st century curriculum is seriously think about the relevancy of subject content. We should not allow the new generation to learn what their grandfather learned, what their father learned. We should not teach same subject, same content to the new generation. we should not allow or test the new generation how their grandfather tested, how their father tested in the GCO level examination. More than 100 years, we have GCO level, GCA level, 3 hours paper, 2 hours paper. Okay, now we can wind up. We have no much time for discussion because I was asked at the last stage about you to teach uh, 21st century curriculum and new curriculum they are going to implement in Sri Lanka. I saw the past paper and I marked uh, exam on conducted by your university. I didn't see any question pertaining to 21st century curriculum. A new curriculum, we can't, that is not the mistake of the paper marker because that is a recent phenomenon. Anyhow, 21st century curriculum, learning 21st century curriculum, very important for the teachers. The new curricular reformers in Sri Lanka, they have seriously concerned about 21st century standard, 21st century curriculum trend. I think the government is trying to introduce little by little. Suddenly they can't bring big changes for different reasons, political reasons, economic reasons. Anyhow, we have to appreciate the new reforms to be introduced. Next week, we will try to finish this 21st century curriculum and 21st century teachers, 21st century classroom. Next lecture we can finish, and the last lecture, final lecture, we can use that 2 hours to study briefly the reforms to be introduced from 2026. I have to share this 21st century curriculum chat box. Okay, I have sent you to document to PowerPoint presentation. Thank you very much for your participation. When is our next class? 29. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Madhushan, next
Yes,
Monday,
sir.
no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll meet on next Monday. Now I have sent you 2 documents. You can go through Leslie. Okay, good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
sir.
sharing.
Good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much.